Welcome to War Bios, where we delve into the most pivotal battles in history, dissecting the strategic decisions, tactical innovations, and human experiences that shaped their outcomes. Today, we're going to explore one of the most significant naval engagements of World War II, the Battle of Coral Sea. This clash between American and Japanese forces marked a turning point in the war in the Pacific, as it thwarted Japan's attempt to capture Port Moresby, a crucial Allied base in New Guinea. In the spring of 1942, the war in the Pacific was intensifying, with both sides seeking to gain control over strategic territories. The Japanese, having already conquered much of Southeast Asia and the Philippines, set their sights on the Solomon Islands and New Guinea, aiming to isolate Australia and prevent it from serving as a staging ground for Allied counterattacks. Meanwhile, the United States, still reeling from the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, was rapidly rebuilding its Pacific fleet and seeking opportunities to challenge Japanese dominance. The strategic landscape of the Pacific was complex, with numerous islands, atolls, and straits that could be used as stepping stones for either side. The Coral Sea, a vast expanse of ocean stretching between Australia and the Solomon Islands, was a critical arena in this struggle. Its warm waters and scattered island chains made it an ideal location for naval battles, where the outcome would depend on the tactical acumen of commanders, the training of their crews, and the performance of their ships. At the heart of this unfolding drama were two visionary leaders, Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, the commander-in-chief of the Japanese Combined Fleet, and Admiral Chester Nimitz, the newly appointed commander-in-chief of the U.S. Pacific Fleet. Both men were renowned for their strategic brilliance and innovative thinking, and they would soon engage in a battle of wits that would determine the course of the war. Yamamoto, a veteran of the Japanese Navy with a deep understanding of naval warfare, had masterminded the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. He was determined to exploit the momentum gained by Japan's early successes and secure a decisive victory in the Pacific. Nimitz, on the other hand, was a seasoned commander who had risen through the ranks of the U.S. Navy with distinction. He was tasked with the daunting responsibility of rebuilding the Pacific Fleet and challenging Japanese dominance. In April 1942, Yamamoto launched Operation MO, a complex plan aimed at capturing Port Moresby, which would provide Japan with a vital airbase to threaten Australia and secure its southern flank. The operation involved a dual-pronged assault, with one force sailing directly from Rabaul to Port Moresby, while another, larger force, comprising two carriers, the Shokaku and Zuikaku, supported by cruisers, destroyers, and smaller ships, would sail through the Coral Sea, providing air cover and attacking any Allied forces that dared to intervene. As the Japanese began to assemble their invasion fleet, American intelligence intercepted crucial communications, hinting at an imminent attack on Port Moresby. Nimitz, recognizing the gravity of the situation, swiftly assembled a task force under Rear Admiral Frank Jack Fletcher, comprising two carriers, the USS Lexington and USS Yorktown, supported by cruisers, destroyers, and oilers. This force was tasked with intercepting the Japanese invasion fleet and preventing it from reaching Port Moresby. The American task force faced significant challenges, including limited air power, inadequate coordination between ships, and a daunting enemy force that seemed almost invincible. The USS Lexington, affectionately known as Lady Lex, was one of the most experienced carriers in the U.S. Navy, with a seasoned crew and a proven track record in combat. The USS Yorktown, on the other hand, was a newer carrier, but its crew had been hastily assembled and its air group was still learning to work together. The Americans, though outnumbered, possessed several critical advantages: superior radar technology, more experienced pilots, and a deeper understanding of Japanese tactics. However, they also faced significant challenges, including limited air power, inadequate coordination between ships, and a daunting enemy force that seemed almost invincible. As the American task force under Rear Admiral Frank Jack Fletcher sailed into the Coral Sea, they were met with a complex web of Japanese naval movements designed to deceive and disrupt their attempts to intercept the invasion fleet. The tropical waters of the Coral Sea, known for their crystal-clear visibility and unpredictable weather patterns, now became a battleground where the fate of Port Moresby and the entire Pacific would be decided. On May 1, 1942, the USS Yorktown scout planes spotted the Japanese cruiser Shoho, accompanied by several smaller ships steaming northwards towards the Jomard Passage, a narrow and treacherous waterway that wound its way through the Louisiade archipelago. This sighting was a critical moment, as it indicated that the Japanese were attempting to pass through the passage and attack Port Moresby from the south, exploiting the Allied defense's weakest point. The Jomard Passage, with its numerous shoals and hidden reefs, posed a significant navigational challenge, but the Japanese were determined to use it to their advantage. As the news of the Shoho's sighting reached Admiral Fletcher, he knew that time was of the essence. He ordered an airstrike against the Japanese cruiser, which was launched on May 7, 1942. The American planes, comprising 53 Douglas SBD Dauntless dive bombers and 21 Douglas TBD Devastator torpedo bombers, descended upon the Japanese cruiser with devastating effect. The Shoho, its anti-aircraft defenses overwhelmed by the sheer number of attacking aircraft, was quickly hit by several bombs and torpedoes. The Japanese cruiser's decks were soon ablaze, and its hull was breached in multiple places. As the American planes pulled away from their target, they left behind a trail of destruction and chaos. The Shoho eventually sank at 11:35 a.m. with significant loss of life, marking a crushing blow to the Japanese invasion plans. This engagement marked a significant turning point in the Battle of the Coral Sea, as it not only halted the Japanese advance, but also denied them the use of the Jomard Passage. The American pilots had demonstrated exceptional bravery and skill, and their actions had dealt a severe blow to the Japanese naval strategy. As the news of the Shoho's sinking reached Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, he realized that his plans for a swift and decisive victory were rapidly unraveling. Meanwhile, the main Japanese carrier force, comprising the Shokaku and Zuikaku, was closing in on the American task force. On May 8, 1942, the two fleets engaged in a fierce air battle, with both sides launching massive strikes against each other's carriers. The USS Lexington, its crew seasoned by months of combat experience, played a pivotal role in this engagement. As the Japanese planes approached the American carriers, they were met with a wall of anti-aircraft fire from the escorting cruisers and destroyers. Despite this, several Japanese bombers managed to break through and attack the USS Lexington, scoring 2 direct hits and causing significant damage. The USS Yorktown also came under attack, but its newer design and more robust construction allowed it to withstand the punishment. The American carriers, however, were not without their own successes. The Japanese carriers, Shokaku and Zuikaku, were also hit by American aircraft, suffering significant damage and loss of life. As the day wore on, the battle raged on, with both sides trading blows and neither gaining a decisive advantage. In a remarkable display of seamanship and courage, the crew of the USS Lexington managed to keep their ship afloat despite the extensive damage. The Lady Lex, as she was affectionately known, had been hit by 2 250-kilogram bombs which had penetrated her flight deck and exploded in her hangar bay. The resulting fires had spread rapidly, engulfing much of the ship. Despite this, the crew fought to save their beloved vessel, using every trick in the book to keep her afloat. As the USS Lexington's crew fought to save their ship, the acrid smell of smoke and sweat hung heavy in the air, mingling with the cries of the wounded and the desperate shouts of those trying to contain the inferno. The once proud vessel, affectionately known as the Lady Lex, was now a raging behemoth, its metal skin scorched and blackened by the relentless fires that had spread too far, too fast. On May 8, 1942, at 5:30 p.m., the inevitable order was given to abandon ship, marking a somber end to an illustrious career that had spanned over 2 decades. As the crew scrambled to escape the doomed vessel, the reality of their situation sank in like a cold, unforgiving weight. The USS Lexington's sinking would prove to be a significant blow to American naval power in the Pacific, a region where control of the seas was crucial to the war effort. Yet, even as the Lady Lex slipped beneath the waves, her sacrifice marked a crucial turning point in the Battle of the Coral Sea. The Japanese carrier force, having suffered significant damage and loss of life, was forced to withdraw from the battle, abandoning their plans to capture Port Moresby. This strategic victory for the Allies would prove to be a decisive moment in the war, as it prevented the Japanese from gaining a crucial foothold in the region. In the aftermath of the battle, both sides assessed their losses and regrouped for future engagements. The Americans had lost one carrier, the USS Lexington, as well as the oiler USS Neosho, while the Japanese had suffered significant damage to two of their carriers, the Shokaku and Zuikaku. As historians have long noted, the Battle of the Coral Sea marked a pivotal moment in the Pacific War, a conflict that would rage on for another 3 years, claiming millions of lives and reshaping the global balance of power. The bravery and sacrifice of the sailors and airmen who fought in this battle will always be remembered, their legacy continuing to inspire generations of military personnel and historians alike. The Battle of the Coral Sea's lasting impact can be seen in the way it shaped the course of the war, as well as its influence on modern naval tactics and strategy. The use of carrier-based air power, which played a decisive role in the battle, would become a hallmark of modern naval warfare, with aircraft carriers emerging as the dominant force on the high seas. That's all for today's War Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, I'm General Biography reminding you to keep marching toward victory.